Welcome to Flow Brewing. Today we are going to explore a wheat beer that I made, the first one of the season, and we're going to compare the additives that I put in secondary fermentation and compare what the beer tastes like after the peach and the honey were added versus before the peach and the honey were added, and just do a few tasting notes, and then we'll wrap it up. Just wanted to record my thoughts, record kind of what went well and what we were trying to do with this beer, and then we'll do some takeaways, and that'll be the tasting notes for the peach wheat. So, anyways, as I noted, I brewed this beer, which is a peach wheat. It's the first wheat beer I've ever made, and today we're going to compare tasting notes with this bottle conditioned wheat that does not have the peach and the honey added. So um, this beer actually, I'm not real happy. The my camera doesn't do a very good job, I don't think, of showing the true color of the beer, because in the picture it looks much lighter, and it does do a good job of reflecting the straw nature of the beer. Um, this beer has been sitting out for a few minutes. It poured with a nice foamy head, and it's got good carbonation infused throughout. Serving, I don't have a thermometer in my kegerator. I need to put one in there, because carbonation, serving temperature are two things that are just extremely important when serving your product. It can make or break, actually, the experience, in my opinion. You can make a very good beer and serve it on the wrong carbonation or at the wrong temperature, and it'll dramatically affect the experience when tasting. So, anyways, let's have our first taste, and it's got a nice fruity aroma. It's got no major hop aroma to note, largely because not very many hops used, and you can actually smell the peach, which is pleasant. My only big knock on the beer is the actual color. Not happy with that at all. But those are things that you kind of work out just with experience, and most of it is just because of all the peach that I put in there, and kind of my homebrew filtration tactics are not quite up to speed, so I've got some more experimentation that I need to do there. But let's have the first taste. It's got a good smooth body. It's tart, and you can actually definitely tell the peach. In the previous Brew Strong episodes that I've been listening to, one of the knocks on brewing with peaches is that it's hard to get any peach flavor out of beer, and that apricots, it's a lot easier to get flavor with apricots. So uh, as far as I know, there's no commercial beers made with peach, but I think this one does a very good job of getting the peach notes out of the beer. And I think the honey works very well with it and gives the beer a nice medium body, smoothness to it. The carbonation you can taste the carbonation, and it makes the beer pleasant, but it's not like a distinguishing characteristic. There's really no bittering hops, no major bitter flavor when you take a drink, and I don't get any hop aromas drinking this beer. So, all in all, it's a good summer peach wheat, nice light, low alcohol beer that you can just sip on and enjoy on a summer afternoon. So overall, I think it was a success. I don't think that this beer could be sold at this point for a couple reasons. One, I'm not sure it's economically feasible to put the amount of peaches that I put in this on a commercial scale, and I think that I need to get the color and clarity refined through filtration and whatnot before this would be maybe a mass marketed beer. But the beer drinking community is a experimental group, and so they may not necessarily be opposed to it. I haven't really given this to too many people for tasting, so I haven't got any feedback on that quite yet. So now let's move into the fermented or the bottle conditioned wheat without the peaches and honey, and let's compare that. So what I'll do, I'll set that one down. Just gonna have a little drink of water here. As you can see, my sister has purchased me some Dickey's ale glasses, which I really appreciate. Thanks, Meg. So let's take fresh glass and let's go ahead and pour in the. So here we're going to listen for the carbonation to see how the bottom conditioning did. And it doesn't sound like it did too well, so it'll be interesting to see how this pours out. So here we go. And it is definitely lacking carbonation. I recently took some of my beer to Miami that I had bottle conditioned, and the plane ride, I checked the bag, put it in my suitcase, and I don't know if I just put too much sugar in there or if it was the shaking from being underneath the plane, but the beer came out and just did not taste good. Tasted like champagne. So bottle conditioning is very difficult to do and get right, but hopefully we can get some good thoughts on this beer. So you can see here the beer on the right side of your screen is the beer without the peaches. And you can see that the color and clarity is what you would expect from a wheat. It's very good, very clear. You can see some carbonation bubbles kind of coming up through it. And here on the right, this cloudy beer from the peaches is just not quite as pretty. So I definitely have to give my nod to this beer without the peach and the honey, just on appearance. And we'll see if the peach and the wheat makes up for it on the flavor side. No major aroma, light little bready maybe, but don't really get any aromas from this beer. So let's have our first taste. Ooh, it is very good. I really enjoy the Belgian yeast. It gives it a nice sort of clovey, subtle flavor, and I think this is a very good beer. I actually, it's got a little bit lighter body because it doesn't have as much sugar and fermentables in it. Especially, I don't know how many sugars are left from the peach and the honey because I didn't take a true hydrometer reading. But definitely less sugars in this beer. Definitely a light, clean, smooth drinking ale. Definitely could use a little bit more carbonation, but that's fixable by kegging, so that's not a problem to fix at all. But I'm surprised. I really do like it without the peach better. So, anyways, a very successful experiment. The yeast is the most intriguing thing, and sort of one of the things as a home brewer that's incredibly difficult to learn about is just the effects of different yeasts, different hops, and then controlling your process good enough to be able to taste the variances when you change those variables. And me, on a personal level, it's hard to want to change just one variable and then brew the batch again. Because every time that you brew, you've got to got a grand plan of all these things that you want to change on how you're going to make the next perfect beer. And so it takes a lot of patience and persistence, but that's one of the fun things about homebrewing, and I think one of the things that will make it never truly get old. Um, but very subtle. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's just a creamy banana, kind of bubble gummy type flavor. A little bit of maybe a little clove, but I don't know. Almost just what you would what you would expect from a Belgian yeast, but a very good wheat. I think this is a much more successful beer and a much more sellable beer than the peach wheat. I think just on the aspect that whenever you have peach or fruit in beer, it sort of takes some of your market away just from purists, and then you fight things with the color and the clarity. Excuse my fingers there. But you can see the color and clarity is much better in this beer. When the sun hits it, it looks very light, but in a normal room light, even the computer doesn't do it justice because it's a lot more golden than probably what you're seeing on the screen. So, anyways, very successful, very interesting to kind of taste the differences between the two. I like the peach a lot, but I think if I was to make this beer again, I think I would just make the wheat and maybe just leave it at that. I think it'll be fun to kind of explore with the different strains of yeast and kind of find the right balance there. And then, whenever you want something different, just throw the peach in there just to have a unique, interesting seasonal. And that's what homebrewing is all about. So thanks for tuning in. And if you'd like to taste any of these beers, feel free to shoot me an email that you see in the credits. And I look forward to sharing my beer with anyone and everyone. And if you've made any fruit beers like a peach wheat or put honey in a beer, or if you have any interesting thoughts with a wheat beer and various yeast strains, whether it's German, Belgian, or American, please feel free to shoot me a link to your video and I'll post it, or I'll even post your video on the site. So cheers, and thanks for tuning in.